Welcome to our video discussion on the Securities and Exchange Commission's SEC groundbreaking climate disclosure rules and regulations. In an era marked by environmental challenges, understanding these regulations is crucial for investors and companies and stakeholders alike. So let's delve into the details. The Securities and Exchange Commission's (SEC's) new climate disclosure rules mark a pivotal moment in corporate transparency and accountability, responding to the growing urgency of addressing climate change. These regulations, announced in 2023, come in the wake of mounting pressure from investors, advocacy groups, and the public for companies to disclose their environmental impact and climate-related risks. At the heart of these rules lies the recognition that climate change poses significant risks to businesses, including physical, transitional, and liability risks. By mandating comprehensive disclosures, the SEC aims to provide investors and stakeholders with the necessary information to assess how companies are managing these risks and their readiness to adapt to changing climate. On March 6, 2024, the Securities and Exchange Commission adopted final rules to require registrants to disclose certain climate-related information in registration statements and annual reports. The Commission proposed the rules on March 21, 2022. The Commission has adopted rules to enhance and standardize climate-related disclosures by public companies and in public offerings. Among these, the things the final rules require a registrant to disclose: 1. Climate-related risks that have had or are reasonably likely to have a material impact on the registrant's business strategy, results of operation, or financial condition. 2. The actual potential material impact of any identified climate-related risks on the registrant's strategy, business model, and outlook. 3. If, as part of its strategy, a registrant has undertaken activities to mitigate or adapt to a material climate-related risk, a quantitative or a qualitative description of material expenditures incurred and material impacts on financial estimates and assumptions that directly result from such mitigation or adaptation activities. 4. Specify disclosures regarding a registrant's activities, if any, to mitigate or adapt to a material climate-related risk, including the use, if any, of transition plans, scenario analysis, or internal carbon prices. 5. Any oversight by the Board of Directors of climate-related risks and any role by management in assessing and managing the registrant's material climate-related risks. 6. Any processes the registrant has for identifying, assessing, and managing material climate-related risks, and if the registrant is managing those risks, whether and how any such processes are integrated into the registrant's overall risk management system or processes. 7. Information about a registrant's climate-related target or goal, if any, that have materially affected or are reasonably likely to materially affect the registrant's business, results of operations, or financial condition. Disclosures would include material expenditures and material impact on financial estimates and assumptions as a direct result of the target or goal or actions taken to make progress towards meeting such target or goal. 8. For large accelerated fillers, LAFs, and accelerated fillers, AFs, that are not otherwise exempted, information about material Scope 1 emissions and or Scope 2 emissions. 9. For those required to disclose Scope 1 and or Scope 2 emissions, an assurance report at the limited assurance level, which for an LAF following an additional transition period will be at the reasonable assurance level. 10. The capitalized costs, expenditures, expensed charges, and losses incurred as a result of severe weather events and other natural conditions such as hurricanes, tornadoes, flooding, drought, wildfires, extreme temperatures, and sea level rise subject to applicable 1% and de minimis disclosure threshold disclosed in a note to the financial statements. 11. The capitalized cost, expenditures expensed, and losses related to carbon offsets and renewable energy credits or certificates, RECs, if used as a material component of a registrant's plan to achieve its disclosed climate-related target or goals, disclosed in a note to the financial statement. And finally, if the estimates and assumptions a registrant uses to produce the financial statements were materially impacted by risks and uncertainties associated with severe weather events and other natural conditions or any disclosed climate-related targets or transition plans, a qualitative description of how the development of such estimates and assumptions was impacted, disclosed in a note to the financial statement. This comprehensive framework not only enhances transparency, but also provides investors with a clearer understanding of a company's climate-related risks and strategies, enabling more informed decision-making. The scope of the SEC's climate disclosure rules is extensive, encompassing various aspects of a company's environmental performance and climate risk management strategies. Among the key components are requirements for companies to disclose their greenhouse gas emissions, climate-related risks, governance structures, strategies for managing climate risks, and relevant metrics. This holistic approach ensures that investors and stakeholders receive a comprehensive picture of a company's environmental impact and its effort to mitigate climate risks. For instance, companies may be required to disclose their emissions data across different scopes, Scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, and detail their plans for reducing emissions and transitioning to renewable energy sources. Central to the SEC's climate disclosure rules is the concept of materiality, which necessitates that companies assess the significance of climate-related risks and disclose those deemed material to investors and stakeholders. Materiality assessments require companies to evaluate the potential financial and reputational impacts of climate-related risks on their operations and disclose those risks that could reasonably influence investors' decisions. This process encourages companies to take a proactive approach to identifying and managing climate risks, thereby enhancing transparency and accountability. Moreover, the SEC's rules are designed to align with existing reporting frameworks such as the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosure, TCFD, and the Sustainability Accounting Standard Board, SASB. This alignment fosters consistency and comparability in reporting practices, enabling investors to more easily evaluate companies' environmental performance and climate risk management strategies. For example, companies that already adhere to TCFD or SASB guidelines may find it easier to integrate the SEC's climate disclosure requirement into their existing reporting frameworks, streamlining the reporting process and enhancing efficiency. Despite the potential benefits of the SEC's climate disclosure rules, companies may face challenges in implementing them effectively. One significant challenge is the collection and verification of climate-related data, particularly for companies with complex supply chains or operations spanning multiple regions. Ensuring the accuracy and reliability of emissions data and other climate-related metrics requires robust data management systems and rigorous verification processes. Companies may need to invest in technology and expertise to improve their data collection and reporting capabilities, which could entail additional costs and resource allocations. Furthermore, The SEC's rules present an opportunity for companies to enhance their engagement with environmentally conscious investors and improve their corporate reputations. Investors increasingly consider environmental, social, and governance (ESG) factors when making investment decisions, and companies that demonstrate a commitment to sustainability may attract greater investor interests and support. By providing transparent and credible disclosures on their climate-related risks and strategies, companies can build trust with investors and stakeholders and differentiate themselves in the market. In addition to the potential benefits for companies and investors, the SEC's rules have broader implications for the economy and society as a whole. By encouraging companies to disclose their climate-related risks and strategies, these rules promote greater awareness and understanding of the financial implications of climate change. This heightened awareness can drive investments in clean energy and other sustainable solutions, spurring innovation and economic growth while reducing greenhouse gas emissions and mitigating climate risks. Enforcement mechanisms are crucial to ensuring compliance with the SEC's climate disclosure rules and holding companies accountable for their environmental impact. The SEC will monitor compliance through reviews, investigations, and enforcement actions, imposing penalties on companies that fail to adhere to the disclosure requirements. Non-compliance risks include reputational damage, legal repercussions, and potential exclusion from investment portfolios, underscoring the importance of timely and accurate climate reporting. The SEC's Enforcement Division has a task force in place to root out ESG-related misconduct as investors increasingly rely on climate and ESG-related disclosure and investment. The SEC files enforcement cases when, for example, a firm fails to follow policies and procedures involving ESG investments or a firm misstates ESG considerations. Now, let's take a broader look at the landscape surrounding these regulations. Financial markets are abuzz with anticipation as we await the SEC's rule on climate disclosure. This rule is not just a response to the growing pressure for transparency. It's a pivotal moment in the evolution of responsible investment practices. As we approach the summer, discussions about the depth and scope of these regulations are gaining momentum, reflecting the increasing emphasis on environmental, social, and governance factors in investment decision-making. However, it's essential to understand that the investor community's eagerness for a finalized rule from the SEC is just one facet of the broader market dynamics at play. The demand for climate disclosure isn't going away anytime soon, irrespective of regulatory mandates. In fact, it's only intensifying. Investors are seeking not just a deluge of data, but quality, consistency, and comparability in climate-related disclosures. This push for standardized climate disclosure isn't confined to the SEC's jurisdiction. It's part of a global movement. Leading global bodies are collaborating to establish baseline recommendations, many of which are reflected in the SEC's pending rule. The alignment underscores the universal recognition of the materiality of climate-related information and the need for consistent reporting standards worldwide. Despite potential efforts to water down these regulations, investor demand for climate disclosure remains steadfast. This demand isn't just a matter of preference, it's a fiduciary duty. Investors recognize the critical role that climate-related information plays in assessing risks and opportunities in their portfolios. Even beyond the SEC's jurisdiction, other regulators are taking proactive steps to enhance climate disclosure requirements. This trend signals the inevitability of increased transparency, regardless of the specifics of the SEC's final rule. In essence, while the SEC's rule is a significant milestone, it's essential to recognize its broader implications. It's not just about compliance, it's about driving a fundamental shift towards more sustainable and responsible business practices. And this shift is not confined to the regulatory sphere. It's a reflection of evolving market dynamics and investor expectations. In conclusion, the SEC's new climate disclosure rules represent a significant step forward in promoting transparency, accountability, and sustainability in the corporate sector. By mandating comprehensive disclosures on climate related risks and strategies, these rules empower investors and stakeholders to make informed decisions and drive positive change in the economy. While companies may face challenges in implementing the rules, the potential benefits of enhanced transparency and engagement with environmentally conscious investors far outweigh the costs. Ultimately, the SEC's climate disclosure rules have the potential to catalyze a transition to a more sustainable and resilient economy, benefiting both present and future generations.